Andrew Loberg here, and here we are again, another day on the water. It is springtime, it is warming up, I got my sun shirts on, but do you know what? These fish aren't ready to spawn yet. What is really going on right now is we are moving into some transitioning fish. One of my favorite ways to catch them during this transition from your deeper main points and secondary points leading into the backs of the coves for them to spawn is with a jerkbait. And not only are we throwing the jerkbait, but I'm specifically targeting grass. The reason I'm targeting grass, one, this impoundment that I'm on is most of the cover's grass. In the early springtime, a lot of the hydrilla and coontail and milfoil, it starts to grow. And as these fish want to start moving back, it's another staging object for these fish to get on and feed before they go back and spawn. And during these times, throwing a jerkbait, one, will make feeding fish react. So a feeding bass will eat the bait when it's presented correctly. Another reason why the jerkbait is so key during the springtime is sometimes these fish aren't really looking to feed too much. They're really kind of thinking about spawning and waiting for that water temp to warm up. And the jerkbait, with its erratic action, makes them bite it. It's not necessarily a feeding like I want to eat the thing. It's more I want to kill it, get it out of my face, I'm ready to go spawn. So that is what we did today. I had full intentions of just strictly throwing the jerkbait and caught quite a few fish. The number one, as you've seen in many videos I've done prior, this is like my go-to jerkbait pretty much all year round when I am throwing a jerkbait. This is in Ghost Minnow. The reason why this bait is so key is, depending on the line size, I can get it down deep. I can also keep it shallow. It has a great erratic action. It's got a nice little rattle in there to make these fish react. The other bait that we use today is the original Lucky Craft Pointer 100. I utilized this bait today when I got around a little bit more wind, bigger profile bait. As you can see, instead of the Ghost Minnow, I went with a chartreuse shad. Because there is more wind and things like that, maybe water clarity is a little dirtier. I like that more, that whitish, brighten things up a little bit in the water so they can see it and travel to it. But the Pointer 100 is a great choice this time of year because one, it's got that bigger profile. You can cast it a mile. And if you do have some windier conditions, this is a bait to have on the deck. Earlier today, or most of the day, the heavy damage was done on the slender pointer 112. The 112 is by far the best size to mimic most bait fish. You can go bigger if you're mimicking these big gizzard shad and go with the 127, or you can even go smaller and go with the 97. Here's just the size comparison. But I was going with the 112 just because it was a little breezy. These fish on this lake, they like that bigger bait fish. Now today on the water with fishing the jerkbait, I was utilizing forward-facing sonar, specifically a Garmin live scope. What that allowed me to do was pinpoint exactly where these fish are and make accurate casts to where these fish might be setting up. Now using forward-facing sonar around grass is very, very helpful because when you're in a grass flat or a grass point, a lot of the grass may look the same. What I was targeting within the grass was little differences, whether it be a smaller clump around the grass, a bigger clump around the grass, like around the main area of the grass, a separated clump from the main patch. Just looking at differences on my forward-facing sonar unit so that I can cast to them and those fish will be there. A lot of these fish will spread out in a big mat of grass, but if you can find those little points and the little secondary points and patches of grass within that bigger area, you have a more specific target to cast to, and that's where a lot of times you'll get bites. As you see, I'd cast past objects. I could visually see my jerkbait down there near it. They'd come out and eat it. Now, a lot of times using forward-facing sonar in the grass, using live scope, I'm not necessarily just seeing the fish on top of the grass. Some of them I did see that were just kind of cruising, chasing bait on top of the grass. I would cast to these irregular grass patches around, a lot of grass. And what would happen is the fish would be inside the grass or pushed up against it to where it's not separated from it on your unit. And that jerkbait is a great bait for them to come up and get out of the grass and eat it. And that's kind of why I just love the slender pointer this time of year, is you could just move water and pick everything apart. Let's talk about some line. Generally speaking, with the jerkbait, I'm pretty much only throwing 10 most of the time with the slender pointer. Most of the springtime I like 10. It gets the bait down, and I think it has the best action with 10. If I was fishing shallower, I'd go 12. And if I was fishing super clear water, I'd go 8. But 10 is a great all-around line. Using live scope, I could accurately cast this bait with 10 pound and make a really long cast because some of these fish are a little spooky and you'll want a long cast to get past them so you can bring it and present the bait to them. Another thing I like to do is use an 8:1 gear ratio reel. With using live scope, it's very necessary to wear if you're fishing on wind or just fishing in general. When you start panning over and seeing grass clumps and wood or whatever objects you're trying to target with the jerkbait, you need to make sure you fire that thing quickly. And if you do miss your cast, which a lot of times we will, you need to reel it in quick and get it out to them, because as that boat gets closer to them, they're less likely to bite. Like I said, the slender pointer is one of my favorite options. If you're fishing some deeper water, a Stacy 90, the lightning pointer, the DD, the deeper one is a good choice. Obviously the pointer is a phenomenal choice. The reflection on the pointer, since it is a bigger bait with live scope, is a phenomenal choice because that beam hits this bait and it glows a lot more than the slender pointer, kind of. It's just a bigger bait, especially when you're on wind or dirtier water. It's a bigger bait. You can see it on your unit a little bit easier. If you're fishing super shallow and you're around a lot of bait, the lightning pointer is a phenomenal choice. It stays up in the water column, has a little bit tighter action to it. The slender pointer can kind of walk a little bit further. The lightning pointer is a shorter walk. So next time you go out to the lake that has some grass in it, pick yourself up some slender pointers, some Lucky Trap jerkbaits, and give it a try. Early in the year, when the grass starts growing, it gets warm, you get these long days, the grass starts to grow, and these fish love to get in it. It's not only the bass love to get in it, but the bait, the bluegill, the crappies. I caught multiple crappie today. There's just a lot of ecosystem in the grass, and the jerkbait is a phenomenal choice to get those bass out of it, get some more bites in the boat. They're just thick in the grass, that's why the bite's a little tough, but getting a couple.